Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I'm currently right now here in Bali, Indonesia, and I'm soon to be flying on two business class flights with Singapore Airlines to get back to Los Angeles. So first I'm going to be flying from Bali over to Singapore, and then I'm going to be going from Singapore direct over to Los Angeles, which ends up being about like a 15.5-hour flight. So it's about to be like a full day journey, so it's definitely going to be long, but fortunately for me, I am going to be flying with Singapore, which ends up being fantastic. I'm now leaving Bali, and I gotta say that my experience here in Bali was, I am starving and I cannot wait to eat food on Singapore Airlines flights because everything I hate here in Bali just made me sick, and I just had a really bad experience. So this is a flight review, so let's go over the flights and I'll go over what I feel about Singapore Airlines and their business class products. When I boarded the plane, I immediately noticed that the Singapore Airlines business class seat wasn't what I'm accustomed to seeing for Singapore Airlines business class. That's because this is the seat for the 787, which is a different layout as compared to what you would see on the A380 or the 777 or the A350. And even though this seat isn't as spacious as the other one, I will say that it does have a decent amount of space, and I do like the layout of it. You have a nice mirror over here that's right next to your face, and also this cubby holds a decent amount of stuff, and I like that it's up as compared to having to reach into it, which I've had issues with before, unfortunately leaving things inside. Now here's the menu for the business class flight. Now this is a short flight, so when it comes to food options, there wasn't a ton of things. However, when it comes to drink options, there was quite a decent selection. So I will say that Singapore Airlines does want to make sure to take care of their customers, regardless of if it is a short flight or a long flight. These headphones right here are comfortable enough that you wouldn't need to plug in your own. And when it comes to movie selections, Singapore Airlines has a wide range of either international or Hollywood style films. So you'll definitely be able to find something that will be enjoyable for you to watch for your long haul flight. We took off, and I got to say farewell to Bali. Alright, so we were about 20 minutes in this flight from Bali over to Singapore. It's like, I think, under a 2-hour flight, so it's going to be a very short flight. This business class seat feels comfortable. This is the 787, so it's different than what you would have if you were flying on Singapore Airlines with either their A380 or their 777 or their A350. Even just like the look of it immediately when I saw it, I was like, oh, this doesn't look like the other business class product that I've flown with Singapore Airlines before, but it's comfortable, it's spacious. I have a window seat, but I have one that's more on the window side versus the one in front of me, which is 18, that has the, it's a window seat, but it's more off on an angle. If you've ever seen with things like how Iberia have it, this is how it's set up here. So if you want to get yourself a window seat that's actually like right at the window, then you want to go with one of the odd numbers versus the even numbers. So far the staff has been really nice. They came around and gave us either options of champagne or orange juice. I just took some orange juice. They do have options for food, even though this is only like a 2-hour flight. So if you did want to get some food, you could get that. And since I was just getting sick left and right in Bali, I just don't want to eat anything that's even like associated with it. So I'm just gonna drink orange juice on this flight, wait till I get into Singapore, and then eat some of the food there in the lounge. I will say it does smell really good, and I haven't been this hungry in I can't remember how long, because I haven't had like a full meal in days, but I'm still just going to wait for another 2 hours just to be safe, because I don't want to somehow get Bali belly on Singapore Airlines flight because we flew out of Bali to get over to Singapore. Since the food is prepared in Bali, then I could end up getting sick. I know other people had a great experience in Bali, but just was not for me. And if you watch any of my other reviews, you know that I'm pretty much positive about everywhere I've been, but this is just, it just wasn't a good experience. So the good thing is that I have these points to be able to fly and leave out of Bali and be able to get myself a nice, comfortable business class experience all the way to LA for close to about a 24-hour travel day. Singapore Airlines, as always, has a great option when it comes to the different movies. So I see that they have a ton of different movie options, so that shouldn't be a problem when it comes to me flying, at least going back over to Los Angeles. I think for this, I'm just going to listen to a podcast I already have downloaded. I don't know what the 787 business class reminds me of. I guess I could say the closest is maybe just like a much nicer version of Iberia's business class. Yeah, I like the setup of this. Just for anyone who's curious, it's not like I went over to Bali and didn't try to do it big. I stayed at some of the nicest properties out there, at least that are listed as some of the nicest properties. We actually look at like the top hotels in the world. Many of them are in Bali, which was interesting to me. and I just haven't heard so many good reviews, so I decided to go over there, and I stayed at the Alila Uluwatu, which is actually one of Hyatt's like top tier properties. But man, I got destroyed by mosquitoes. You probably can see on my face it's kind of swollen because I have like mosquito bites literally on my face. I probably got like another, I would say 15-ish on my right arm, a bunch on my left arm, all of them all over my body. I even wore clothes when I went to sleep. But the way that the villa was set up, even if you have everything closed, and I had mosquito spray on, and they even had like this thing that they set up in my room, there still was just bugs destroying me all throughout the night. So that was just an unpleasant experience. I think they were actually kind of shocked when I was leaving that hotel, because if you look at like the listed price, it's listed at like $1,100 a night, and I used my points to be able to get there. And I was just like, I'm ready to get out of here. And they probably have never seen anyone just so excited to just leave. And I didn't want anything. I was just like, I was trying to be as nice as I could, but I was like, I haven't had a good time. I just want to go. And they were probably just imagining that people come there for like their honeymoon or anniversaries or some type of special trip, and I was just there as a solo traveler trying to have a good time, and I just could not wait to leave. And maybe they're not used to having that happen, but when I was there, I was like, no, I'd rather just sit at the gate at the airport, not get bitten by bugs, and just relax and be prepared to get on this Singapore Airlines business class flight. For the remainder of the flight, I sat back, listened to a podcast, and watched the flight path screen. And I know I didn't speak very highly of a place that is super desired for people to travel to, and some people may think that I'm being a little extreme with not eating the food just because it was prepared in Bali, but you have to understand how I was feeling. I was at the point to where I was scared to fart in fear that I may actually soil this business class seat. So when you end up feeling that sick due to Bali belly, you may understand why I'm taking every precaution I can to not upset my stomach any more than it already is. We touched down to a rainy Singapore, and I was excited to make my way over to the lounge so I could grab a bite to eat. Just like that, I am in Singapore. So now it's time to go check out the Singapore Crispire Business Class Lounge for the next, I think like an hour and a half I have as my connection time before I take off to get to Los Angeles. Now, Changi Airport, if you've never been here before, is an absolutely gorgeous airport. They did a really good job when it comes to understanding how many people are going to be connecting to make sure that people feel comfortable as they are traveling through Singapore. Now, to make your way over to the lounge, it's going to be on the second floor. However, you notice that there's many different lounges that are options for Singapore Airlines guests. There's going to be people for gold or for first class or for the private room, but this is just the Singapore Airlines business class lounge. And I gotta say that this lounge is gorgeous. It's really, really big. There's a ton of seats. It was quiet. The staff was fantastic. There was many food options. This is honestly one of the best business class lounges that I've ever been in. Definitely, if you're going to be passing through Singapore, you're going to want to take advantage of this lounge if you have access to it. So there are a lot of food options here. This is a great lounge. One, it's really well put together. It looks really nice. There's a lot of different spaces and areas you can sit in. I've been very happy with it. This meal that I had was so good. I'm actually surprised I didn't eat more. I think my stomach has kind of shrunk from eating so little over the last few days, because as soon as I put together this meal of just like some basic things of chicken and some nuggets and some lasagna, after I finished it all, I was like, oh, I'm actually pretty full. So I thought I would have like 2, maybe 3 plates, but I guess, it's good that I'll maybe still have some space when I get onto the plane and be able to eat the business class meal there. Here's my business class seat on the A350. Immediately you'll notice a difference with this one as compared to the 787. There are going to be a few similarities, such as like the headphones that they give you on both aircrafts are going to be exactly the same. But when it comes to the amount of space that you end up getting, there definitely ends up being more space on the A350 for your legs to be able to stretch out with. I like this section that holds your drink. Sometimes you don't have your tray table out, your drink could be in a spot that could be knocked over. But with this, you can easily access it, you don't have to worry about spilling it at all. Singapore Airlines is known for having incredible onboard dining, so I was super excited to try out the different dishes for this long haul flight. when it comes to drink options, just like on the 787, there ends up being a wide range of different things you can choose from. Some of the amenities given to me beside my seat was this eye mask. There also were some socks, which can end up being great to switch into if they happen to be wet due to the fact that it's raining. And then also there are these slippers, which I love to have on any long haul flight. And the fact that Singapore got the location of its own country wrong on this map is pretty comical to me. That is West Africa, not Southeast Asia. The flight attendants came around, and as soon as they knew that I wanted some food, they immediately pulled out my tray table. They started us off with their famous chicken skewers, which are absolutely delicious. Definitely a must-have if you're flying on Singapore Airlines in their business class product. Okay, so we are a little ways into this business class flight with Singapore Airlines, flying from Singapore over to Los Angeles. And my thoughts of this is that this is a great experience. Singapore Airlines is the reason why they are rated one of the highest in the world when it comes to their product, because not only is the seat good, the staff is fantastic. We just had like the appetizer, which was the skewer, which I thought was pretty good. The only thing I'll say about this seat is that the spot where the headphones are at, and also like the bottle of water, my arm hits it all the time and it keeps on popping open. It's a very minor thing, but it seems like it's kind of in a weird place. I wish it was just a little bit more up. Like I feel like it could be the way that the space is laid out, and then that would have been better for it to be, so that my arm couldn't, where it's leading at, open it up, but it is what it is. I just kind of moved my arm a little more over to this side. Just so much space in this seat. I really, really like that. So, honestly, I feel like a second person could sit here. Definitely more than the 787. This is the A350-900. So with this product, it's only going to be business and premium economy. This isn't their longest flight. They do also fly from Singapore over to New York, and it's the same exact aircraft. But so right now I've been watching a movie. There's a lot of movie options. It's the same ones that were offered on the 787. So a great selection of new movies, or if you want to watch some old movies and just kind of unwind like how I am, just watching the Avengers movie that I've already seen many years ago, you can do something like that. Staff has been great. And just to say that the flight attendant just brought me another glass of champagne, which is fantastic for me to be able to drink that to relax for these next 13 hours. But the way that this plane's set up is that the business class is kind of broken up into a couple different sections. So right now I'm in the front section, so my seat is 15K, and there are a number of more business class seats, but it's broken up. The reason why I've decided to choose this and why I've read that it's better to choose is because if you choose this, then the amount of staff who are going to be looking after you as compared to the other one is ends up just, you get stuff taken care of faster, and I believe that ends up being more staff as compared to how many people are here. I don't know if that's 100% true. I haven't counted it, but yeah, so far very, very happy with this business class Singapore Airlines product. I'm just going to sip a little bit more champagne, relax, watch the rest of this movie, and then hopefully the main meal service will be ready by then. We'll eat that and then get some rest. The next part of my meal was this hot salmon salad, which I thought was just okay. Next, I got to have this pork soup, which was absolutely delicious. The worst part was that, because my stomach was so messed up, I barely even got to eat any of it. I just got to have a little taste, and I thought it was fantastic. Definitely recommend it if you have the option. Okay, so I'm here in the bed mode on this business class A350-900 for Singapore Airlines. So the way that this one works is you don't just like push the button, have it go into full bed mode. You actually have to pull on the back. There's like a little piece to where it just will open up the bed, and then it kind of like folds open. It's really easy. Honestly, when you're watching, like in the beginning when they're going over different stuff about your seat, it tells you how to do it. So Yeah, that's not a challenging part. It definitely feels cocoon because you're kind of angled, um, and you're in like this very like tight quarters. So if you have bigger feet, it's not gonna feel probably the greatest. It doesn't feel horrible to me. I do feel like a little bit of a drop off going from like where the I guess the bed part goes into the into the cubby. So I can feel like there's like a little bit of a difference there. I wonder when I turn how it's actually going to feel. That might be a little bit different, but we'll see. But it's nice that it has like already like a little pad on the bottom part, so it's off there. I have 3 pillows, which is quite a few, so that's nice to have. Just ate my food. I didn't finish it, unfortunately. I still have a stomach bug due to the issues I was having in Bali. So because of that, even the food was tasting really good. I got some soup just to have something that's really light, but I just wasn't able to complete the entire dish. I'm still enjoying myself here in Singapore Airlines business class. It's still been really nice, and they felt bad. They were like, "Oh no, the food's not good." I go, "No, the food's great. I just don't feel the best still." I mean, like I'm feeling a lot better that I was able to eat something, but just not 100% yet at the moment still. So I did want to add a little bit. I know that I complained quite a bit about Bali as a whole. I still have my issues with it. I'm some place that I do not look to go back to. But I will say that the people there were pretty nice, and the staff at the last hotel, they weren't the reason for the issues that I had. To be honest, they were actually trying to help out some of the things. Like even with the mosquito bites that I got, there wasn't any of the people that set it up other than like the person who designed the hotel and the way that the doors are set up, because there's just so many crevices that all the bugs are going to get in. So it's obvious that anyone who stays there is going to have to deal with mosquitoes. And it's like, listen, I understand that there's going to be mosquitoes in a place like Indonesia. When I was in Ubud, I was fine with the mosquitoes out there, but when I'm in my room at night, I would like to have it so that I'm not just getting bit over and over and over. But the good thing about flying home in business class is that you get to at least relax and unwind as you're going home. Because if I was flying home in economy right now, oh my goodness, this would just be an absolutely miserable experience. I couldn't even imagine doing something like that right now. So I know some people are like, yeah, they want to fly in business or first class to get there, and then they say flying home in economy or however, it doesn't matter to them. They just want to get home. For me, it's the opposite. When I'm going somewhere, I'm super excited. So I'm just like, okay, well, as I'm going to that place, if I need to do it in economy, I'd prefer to do it, premium cabin. But I'm so excited that it doesn't really matter. But on the way home, usually I'm tired, I'm exhausted, and I just want to have a relaxing trip to be able to conclude my journey, because a lot of times with your trips, the conclusion is really what you remember. As a whole, the trip really wasn't a bad trip. It was a fantastic trip, just had a bad ending of an experience. But the good thing is that I have the Singapore Airlines business class that is really upping it to make it a nice experience, so that when I do get home, I'll be able to remember it in a positive manner. So these are the crazy experiences that you'll have when you travel. At the time, they can end up being frustrating and exhausting, but look back and laugh and be happy you were able to experience it at all. So, all right, time for me to get some rest. Okay, so we have a little over 2 hours left of this flight. They just woke me up telling me that there's going to be meal service coming around. I was completely out cold. I guess I was just really tired. The bed itself, I'll say, is okay. It's very firm. Honestly, it felt like lying down on the ground in my apartment, which I've done before when I've had like back issues. So it's definitely not on the softer side, but my back feels fine as I was lying on it. They give me a decent amount of pillows. The I would say that like the angle that I was sleeping at, which is like I turn on my side and then kind of like scrunch a little bit, that made it fine, so that wasn't an issue. But I think that for some people, the well in the corner could definitely end up being an issue, because just the way it's angled. Not only you have like a minimum amount of space, but you're in a bed where you're supposed to be going straight like this, but you have to turn also and go into this well. So if you want to turn over on your side or anything like that, make any type of adjustments, it doesn't really give that type of option when you are going into the well that's cornered over there. So that's a little bit annoying, but as a whole, I was sleeping like a baby, so I mean, can I really complain? But anywho, I'm gonna get this last meal service that's coming around.
and then give my final thoughts of this flight.
Unfortunately for these next few dishes, my Bali belly was just hitting me and I couldn't really eat them. They did look very good and also they tasted fine for the minimal amount of it that I ate, but I can't really give them like a good ranking because of the fact that I just wasn't feeling very well. I will say that the displays of these dishes were really nicely put together, and also for the little bit that I have, they did taste pretty good. But when you are flying with Bali belly, there's only so much food you can actually eat.
Okay, so it's about 40 minutes before we touch down in Los Angeles. I'll give my final thoughts of this flight that was, I think, about 15 hours or maybe like 14 and a half hours long. Singapore Airlines business class on the A350. Also, I did the Singapore Airlines business class on the 787. Just final thoughts of Singapore Airlines when it comes to their business class is that they're just fantastic product. It's very consistent when it comes to the staff being really, really good. The food was good, at least for this long haul flight. I didn't do it on the short haul flight, but from what I could smell, it looked like it was really, really good. The staff is just so professional, and they keep on coming around to make sure that you were taken care of. On my first dish, I didn't really eat a ton of it just because my stomach hasn't been the greatest. But they were just like, oh, did you need something different or this or that? They're really trying to help me out. And I was like, no, it's more of me than you all. Yeah, I just really like how professional they are. Everything about them, it's just, you can tell why they get the higher ranks in business class every single year because they just do a fantastic job. Now, when it comes to like the entertainment, I like the options. The screen itself is, I would say, okay. There was times where I was watching movies where the colors seemed kind of off, so I'll say that about the screen, where it just wasn't the best screen, especially after getting on something like Starlux, which was kind of like reflective screen, but when it comes to like the clarity, that one was a lot more clear than the Singapore Airlines screen that we have here. Now, when it comes to the amount of space, there's a decent amount of space. You're going to get yourself one window. I love that they have the cabinet up at the top, so I can open it up and grab things from out of there. That's always something that I've said in other videos before that I like, instead of having it where it's like you have to reach into stuff. They do have it in here where you can reach into things, so like where your water is and also where the headphones are in like this side cubby that's like you have to reach in. But there's another one where I put in like my phone and other things where it's just easy to swipe open on the top right in front of me, so that ends up being nice. But yeah, just the entire setup's really good. It has a nice mirror right there. I would say that I definitely like this product better than the 787 one. There's just more space, and also, obviously, since it's a longer haul flight, there was more options when it came to food and everything like that. But the headphones are the same, and the screen, actually, I didn't really watch anything on the first flight because I was just listening to a podcast, so this is going to end up being the better of the two setups. I haven't done the 777 setup yet. But yeah, I just think that if you have the option to be able to fly on Singapore Airlines in their business class, whether it be flying over to Asia to connect, or if you just want to go over to Singapore, or if you want to connect somewhere in Southeast Asia, or if you're going over to Europe on that Fifth Freedom flight going from JFK over to Frankfurt, definitely going to end up being one of the best options out there for business class. You just know that you're going to end up getting a really solid quality product, and the staff is going to be great, and it's just the consistency of it being really good. It's what makes Singapore Airlines so amazing. Now, there's going to be different ways to book Singapore Airlines with their business class. The cheapest way is going to be if you can find, well, it depends on where you're flying to, but if you happen to be flying like over to Southeast Asia, the cheapest way to be able to do it is going to be with Aeroplan miles. So you can do that for, it's 87,000 Aeroplan miles. If you're going over to Europe from the US, I think it ends up being either 60 or 70,000. I can't remember off the top of my head right now, as compared to if you look at it with Singapore miles, it ends up being somewhere, I think it's like 81,000. And if you're flying from like the west coast of the US going over to Singapore, it ends up being like over 100,000. So depends on if you find the Save Reward availability or not Save Reward availability with Singapore. The difference is with Singapore is that they end up having more award availability as compared to what they end up releasing typically with Aeroplan. I have seen sometimes where they release quite a bit of availability to Aeroplan, so if you can take advantage of that, that can end up being a great time to do it. Plus, Aeroplan also ends up having transfer bonuses from Chase, so if you can time that out, you can end up getting this for a really solid deal. But if you can't time it out and you can't find it at the Saver Award and you just want a business class flight, getting it for like a little over 100,000 Singapore KrisFlyer miles. While it's not the greatest thing out there, if you are trying to connect to somewhere else over in Southeast Asia, then I do think that it could make sense for at least one of the ways to be able to do it, especially if you happen to be trying to fly with another person, because then you can end up getting 2 seats. And sometimes you kind of have to make that sacrifice to be able to have multiple people together. So, but I think that because of how good the product is consistently, it's definitely a product that you're going to want to seek out. Changi Airport is just a really well put together, organized airport, so I'm happy to fly through there anytime I need to, because you can tell that they have it set up to where they know that a lot of people are just going to be transiting through them, and they're very well put together as compared to some other airports I've been to. So happy to be able to fly anytime, even just through Singapore. Being able to travel for so cheap because of points and miles is a real true blessing. So I'm very thankful for that, and I still recommend for people to go out and explore places, even if I end up not giving the greatest reviews, because who knows, maybe it ends up being great for you. I know a lot of people who went to Bali had an amazing time. I know other people who went to places that I've loved that they didn't like. So it just comes down to the person, and everyone's experience is different. But hopefully you enjoy this video. Let me know in the comment section down below, what are your thoughts of flying on Singapore Airlines in their business class? Have you done it before? And if you have, is it one of your favorite business class, or do you have another one you like better than it? Now, if you happen to have any questions, you can drop it down in the comment section down below, and I'll do the best I can to answer it. If you happen to realize the video, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this video, and have a beautiful rest of your day. Peace.